Why is what happened to Mike Flynn of such interest to Bill Barr and everyone else? I don't need the Nunes translator for this one, Joe, because sometimes Devin Nunes, great congressman from California who's been uncovering all this nonsense, deep state, swamp rat garbage for a long time. Nunes is pretty straightforward on this one. This is a interview with Sarat Hashami, forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong, from the Washington Examiner. And in this interview, it's about a minute-plus clip, Devin Nunes lays out pretty clearly why Mike Flynn was prosecuted by a swampy, politicized DOJ for a nonsense crime that wasn't a crime at all. Nunes clearly lays out two reasons why Flynn became a target. One being his exposing of the malicious Iran deal, and secondly, Flynn's outspoken nature about the politicization, the politics in the Justice Department, the intelligence community. And another thing was also Flynn exposing how Al-Qaeda wasn't crushed under the Obama administration, contrary to some of their protestations otherwise. Here's Devin Nunes on Mike Flynn. Check this out.
That was why it was Iran and his concern about the growth of Al-Qaeda in Iraq, the regrowth of Al-Qaeda in Iraq that became ISIS. Mm-hmm. There was those two issues, I believe, why he was fired.
And then following
So he was fired, and then that's when he started, and then he began, you have to remember, he then began helping. I remember he came and briefed us. After he had been fired, he came in to brief us in 2015. He wasn't with Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. He was willing to help out any candidates, including Democrats, because he was a Democrat.
Right.
You know, all this is lost on people. What's happened to him is just a real shame. And then as the Trump campaign started rolling, President Trump trusted him. They brought General Flynn in to brief President Trump, who had been, a business guy, very good at building things and hotels and golf courses. And I would also say he was also good. He was a Hollywood guy. Had the Apprentice show. Those were his strengths.
Right.
So he needed somebody like General Flynn, who had been around, who could explain, hey, here's what's happened. So it made sense as one of the few, kind of swamp creatures to support Trump as a candidate. It made sense that he would become the national security advisor. And then I believe he was targeted because he knew where all the bodies were buried, and he knew that the Obama administration had seated here in Washington at the highest levels of the intelligence agencies a bunch of people that he knew were not up to par.
You dig? Mm-hmm. So, let's get in Bill Barr's head. I can't read his mind, but I'm going to try. The case against McCabe is a loser. False statements is a weak charge. We don't have enough witnesses. Why are we bringing these cases? Let that go on Friday. Right around the same time. By the way, let's get a special counsel on the outside while everybody's distracted with the McCabe stuff, by the way. Let's get a special counsel to look into this Flynn thing. While we're on the topic of loser cases being brought to the DOJ for false statements like we just said about McCabe, let's look into this loser case. Mike Flynn, a case where you said the FBI, that he lied to the FBI, even though the FBI said in their own memos he didn't lie. Let's give a second little look-see at this case while you're all distracted with the McCabe stuff in my interview with ABC. Let's look into why you prosecuted a guy in a loser case who just conveniently objected to Obama's Iran deal while being targeted by Obama's intel operation. A guy who was outspoken that Al-Qaeda was not dead. GM's alive and Al-Qaeda's dead. Remember the Obama administration, their re-election campaign? Oh, Al-Qaeda wasn't dead. And Flynn was sounding the alarm. And third, Flynn was helping not only Republicans, but Democrats expose the swamp and the politics that had infested the DOJ intelligence community and elsewhere. Now you know why Bill Barr is looking into why Flynn was prosecuted on a loser case. And he's appointing an outside counsel to oversee what's going on here. Because he knows what that outside counsel is going to find, which is massive FBI malfeasance, a conspiracy, a legitimate one between McCabe, Comey, and upper echelon levels and members of the FBI to make sure Mike Flynn was permanently damaged, arrested, kicked out, or given the Hester Prynne treatment. That's why he was targeted. Now, how did they do it? This is where this gets interesting. Let me hat tip some of my sources, 279 and others, because this is where this gets fascinating. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to remember the targeting of Mike Flynn because of what I just told you, him willing to expose the swamp and the abuse of this charge to do it, was done in such a sloppy, stupid way. You're astonished that career law enforcement professionals thought this wouldn't be uncovered. Let me go to this first, because this will make sense for you. Let me go back to this IG report footnote from the IG report. This will make sense. On August 10th, as you can see from the IG report, by August 10th of 2016, the FBI, this is a footnote in the IG's report about the Crossfire Hurricane case. Remember, the FBI says they didn't get the dossier till September. But by August 10th, the FBI had assembled an investigative team and was conducting an initial analysis of links between the Trump campaign members and Russia. How is that, Joe? The only place this allegation exists is in the dossier, which they say they don't have till September. The footnote goes on. Based on this analysis on August 10th, the FBI opened individual cases under Crossfire Hurricane's umbrella on 3 persons, Papadopoulos, Carter Page, and Manafort. On August 16th, 6 days later, they opened up a case on a 4th individual, Mike Flynn. Really? How did Mike Flynn become a target? Ladies and gentlemen, let me be crystal clear. The Trump-Russia stuff in that footnote on the IG report, the FBI says it's investigating on August 10th. And the Mike Flynn Russia connections are all fairy tales. They're fake. They're Aesop's fables. They're hoaxes. And they exist only in one place. In the mind of Hillary Clinton's paid Fusion GPS Christopher Steele dossier operatives. Those charges are false. So if they only exist in the dossier, which the FBI is saying it didn't get till September, but they're opening up a case on August 10th based on the charges in the dossier and nowhere else, then somebody's lying, folks. And it is obviously the FBI officials who are telling you they didn't get the dossier until September. And why are they telling you that? Because they still to this day want you to believe they opened this case because the Australians tipped off the United States about the boozy London Barr meeting with Papadopoulos, who could have disclosed that the Russians had dirt on Hillary. That story is garbage. Throw it in the trash heap. Forget it. It's like it never happened. This case was open because Hillary Clinton paid for it to be open with a dossier. You don't believe me? Let me show you a dossier, a memo from the dossier written by Christopher Steele, allegedly. And let me show you the date. Remember, though, Joe, they didn't get this till September 19th, according to the FBI.
Gotcha.
So here's one of the company intelligence reports written by Steele, otherwise known as memos in the dossier. You'll notice something interesting here. All of the names in this. Let me read you one bullet point from this Steele dossier. Kremlin engaging with several high-profile U.S. players, including Stein, talking about Jill Stein, Carter Page, and former DIA Director Michael Flynn. You notice something different about Mike Flynn and his name? Those regular listeners, you'll notice if you want to see it, youtube.com/Bongino. You don't need to see it to understand what's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, so this is a dossier from Steele, and it's alleging that Mike Flynn is engaging with the Kremlin with others. But it's interesting because Mike Flynn's name is put in parentheses, and it's the only name in the entire report that's not in all caps, almost as if it was added later, like somebody needed something. Almost like on August 10th, they wanted to open up a case against Mike Flynn because he was about to expose the swamp. So they open up a case on 3 others to distract people. Hey, open up on these 3 first, and we'll open up on Flynn 6 days later on August 16th, so it'll make it look like this isn't all about Flynn. What's the date on that dossier when they got this dossier? That, remember, the FBI is saying they got in September. Well, if we go back to it and you look at page 2 of that dossier, August 10th, 2016.
Oh.
Isn't that Isn't that special church lady style? Now you see why, folks, ladies and gentlemen, not everything's what you think it is, as I discussed on Friday's show. Why they're dropping the loser case against McCabe to focus on the non-loser case, to focus on a special counsel or an independent counsel looking in to what happened in the Flynn case. You understand why the Flynn case is so important and why Andrew Weissman, known Trump hater, and Mueller lieutenant, now you see why Weissman's panicking? Ladies and gentlemen, this is just a ruse. Be careful. They're really looking into Flynn. Why is Weissman worried about that? Because it was about Flynn the whole time.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud. And follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.